If we get into our positions, we're either the referee throwing up the ball, U1 or U2. And really, we take for granted that everything is going to go according to plan as the ball is tipped. And I want you to take notice of number 22, White. Okay. The El Dorado kid, those of you that have officiated him or seen him play, the guy can get up. Number 22, very athletic kid as well. He can jump. But watch the El Dorado kid, but watch number 22, White. And I'm going to challenge you all to practice your jump and your toss this summer. So watch our crew chief or our guy that's tossing up, our official that's tossing it up. He's already dictating when that ball is going to go up. So you can see him already tossing it before he gets to the players. And what that does, that gives number 22 White an advantage to kind of steal the tip. So play it out, Nate. And watch 22 as you can see a referee throw it up, and you can already see it coming, right? So does it get to the peak of the toss? And I don't think it does. And is it that big to roll back and to retoss in this game? Probably not. But just be prepared. And as you go up, you want to make your toss to where they don't know when it's going up. So practice that. Whether you do two hands or one hand, make sure it's a surprise to the jumpers. That way they don't steal the tip. And as you get up to higher levels, or you do some of the boys games and maybe collegiate level, the men's side, those guys are very tall. And I'm not tall. I'm only 5'11". So you have to catch them on surprise when you get it up because they can jump. So we'll talk, as Nate said, we're going to talk positioning. We're going to talk play calling. We're going to talk a variety of things. And we jotted down some notes. So go ahead and play it out, Nate. And I'm just going to commentate. I'm probably going to play back a few things as far as just mechanics are concerned, things that catch my eye as a referee when I'm watching my fellow officials. And when I watch fellow officials, I don't do it to make fun of. I really do it for myself to say, okay, if they ask for feedback, what can I provide, or to help my game, because I really like that mechanic, or I don't like that mechanic. I want to make sure I don't do it that way and I do it another way. So we can learn from each other, and that's exactly what I'm doing right here. So I'm going to play it out, Nate, on this first possession.
All right. And as we go through this, Curtis, I mean, I've got a few questions for you. And so,
Yeah.
Capital starts off with the basketball. Two of the best players are going against the
first play out of the shoot, we have an out of bounds call. And notice real quick, pause it, Nate, and just roll it back and replay it. Watch our trail official as he points out of bounds, or excuse me, our center official.
players.
What we want to do when we step foot on the pit floor, the state tournament, and is keep our mindset to where we're controlling what's happening on the floor. And when I see the center official even blowing out of bounds, it's more of a reactionary out of bounds rather than really under control, because it wasn't a hard out of bounds. So you want to be under control in everything we do. So first thing out of the shoot, that's what I noticed. It's not big. Continuously play it out, Nate. Go ahead.
TJ Sanchez, the score all around.
So you'll notice Capital out of the shoot. If you know these teams, whether you do or don't know them, you should get some intel off of them. Capital's a pressing team, and that's something they do for 32 minutes. They press, they press, they press.
See, no.
So I want you to take note as we're coming down here at the about 7:20 mark, and pause it here. So that's fine right there. That's okay. So take a look at our trail position, our starting point. Now we talk about guidelines, black and white guidelines when it comes to our trail position, and we always want to start at least in the general area of a 28-foot line, right? And that gives us the best vantage point to officiate plays, because the majority of our plays that are going to occur are going to be in the perimeter. So you'll see at the pit, there's actually three three-point lines that are there. But a majority of our action as we progress through the game, all the action as far as passing is concerned is going to be in the perimeter. And what I want to do is I want to put myself in the best position possible to officiate the play. And take note, run it through, Nate, for a few more seconds and watch our trail. Okay, stop it there. If there's a jump shot, right, an imminent jump shot right here, there's no way, and potentially he may have a look. There's probably no way that he can see point of contact. So run it through and you're going to see no movement from our trail. Boom, there it is, right? And what we got to ask ourselves every time we're up and down the floors, what can hurt us as a referee and as a crew, right? And if I'm working 28-foot line, so if I'm maybe at the L of Capital right now, that's probably 2 steps below the 28-foot line, I can officiate that play, point of contact, potential point of contact, right? And now watch how the ball, I believe this ball comes up short. Okay, ball goes out of bounds. Okay, our lead official blows it out of bounds. Pause it real quick, Nate. what we have to be able to provide potentially is, was there an arm hit as far as point of contact? So they talk about your elbow, point of contact, or was that ball tipped? The way the trail was positioned, I don't think he can provide that information. So we got to be prepared for that. So that's something I noticed right out of the shoot, and you'll see that throughout the game and positioning. And I bring that up because it's imperative that we get in the best position possible to officiate. And you're going to hear me say that throughout the game with certain referees, especially this referee in general. We want to put ourselves in the best position possible. So go ahead, Nate. So again, as we run through this, notice capital. They're going to be the first two possessions up and down the floor. They're going to be in a full court man-to-man with essentially no flagger, and the flagger's at the player that's on the ball. So you'll see them. It's more to slow down the El Dorado offense.
That's one of those teams that cannot. Is this right? And the teams that have adjusted have won. I mean, 100%. That's exactly.
As we even progress through the game, and even before we can during timeouts, is we want to have as much information as we can on the team. So in my opinion, officiating El Dorado, especially with the Metro team, they're more of an inside-out team. And let me stop there. Take it back real quick, Nate, and then we'll run it through. Notice the difference between the trail out of bounds. Nate, run it back.
Hold on, sorry.
It is just it's real subtle. And then you can run it through. Watch our trail official, real easy out of bounds play. And this is what I'm talking about, controlling your mind, because I know that the center official on our first play, the mind was going quick. Watch our center official on this play, ball shoots out of bounds. Stop clock, boom, out of bounds, right? You want to showcase to everybody in the building that you're under control and you're running the game. And that's imperative to everybody, because perception is reality. So again, the first trigger in my head is, okay, then let's watch the trail official and his positioning again. Where does he plant himself? Right.
Successful season so
Pause.
all the way.
Take it back one step, Nate. So as we talked early, in my mind, that first possession, I'm already self-talk. So you should, if you don't self-talk during a game, you should. In my mind, I'm already saying, okay, Capital passes the ball on the perimeter. I got to be prepped, and I got to be 28-foot line or below to officiate any type of point of contact play. So I want to be probably, again, at that L or below this 00 on Capital score right here, so I can stay engaged with potential jump shot or stay connected to a dribble drive play. So run it through and watch the dribble drive and watch our trail official.
So far here, all the way to the quarters. Nice dish underneath.
No movement forward, right? And I'm not trying to pick on them or make fun. It's just we don't want to catch ourselves and not be prepared to assist our partners in plays. We want to stay connected to that. So 28-foot line, couple steps below, and that'll give us our best position possible to officiate. Here's our first play. Boom. Take that back, Nate. So here's a complex play, right? This is a block charge play followed by a block shot.
It's blocked.
Right? Potential block charge, block shot. Run it back and stop it right. Go ahead, Nate. Right here. Stop. Okay. If we trust the system, right, in officiating plays, and we talk about staying in our primaries and officiating certain plays, we should have talked about this type of play in our pregame. And now this is basket interference, a goaltending play. Okay, this is a block charge play, secondary defender. That secondary defender should be the only person that should be officiating that play. That player right now should be the lead official. I need to pick up any secondary help that's going to come up for a block shot to potentially pick it off the glass or pick it off the rim. And if you're not talking about that in your pregame or throughout the basketball game, make sure you are, right? Don't be caught off guard where you have pick off the glass or pick off the rim and we miss it. Okay, so complex play, just making sure that we're trusting the system, making sure that the lead's officiating what he needs to officiate, and you're leaving that alone as far as the lead official, as far as up top, and you're trusting that center and trail can officiate that play. This is a good block. In my opinion, it's a good block. You can talk about the block charge contact. In my opinion, maybe he slips them. But here we go again. Here goes Capital down. Capital up and down team. They're a tempo team. They push it. They try to get a quick three. We have to be prepped for that. In our minds, we have to say that. What's going to happen quickly up and down the floor. Pause. Take it back a little bit, Nate. I'm going to say the first quarter, we'll pause it a lot. Second and third quarters will be quicker. Here's our trail again, right? We want to probably be at the score of Capital. Now we either have a quick jump shot or dribble drive to the basket. Okay, and watch our trail. Dribble. Go ahead and play it out, Nate. So we want to be aware of right now. Stop. Okay, That gentleman that was the primary defender on that number 24 for Capital, that is still, as it's getting to the lane, is still the Trail's primary defender that he has to officiate. So he has to officiate backside contact, any type of illegal contact that may occur, because our lead official, pretty good damn position right here, he has to officiate that secondary help, and you see him under the lane. I mean, if that's a collegiate game, obviously that would be a different story. But in that play, if he gains a legal guarding position, that's potentially a block charge play right here, right? On the opposite third, we have our center official. You see another defender coming from El Dorado side. He has responsibility on that player. So you talk about trusting the system and trusting that we're working our areas and everything will play out. But if we're not engaged, we're not under the 28-foot line, there's no way that we can officiate that backside contact. So go ahead, Nate.
She says, get that out of here. A block party at the pit to start the game.
And if you're not prepared for this, if you're not prepared for this type of play and you're not pre-gaming it, it's going to catch you off guard. So you had back-to-back, you had a block shot one end, a block shot on the other end, two very athletic teams. So in your mind, you got to start talking. You've got to be prepared for that. I got to prepare myself for that play. And I know there's some plays throughout the season that we had, especially in the metro area, where we had plays like that where we got caught off guard.
Vigil. Here's a three-pointer straight away. No.
So did you, one more time, take it back, Nate, a little bit? Again, just watch our trail. He reacts. He wants to react. Boom. Stop it real quick when he's shooting, Nate, really quickly. And this is just something that I pregame, and it's just something that we want to make sure that if there's only one primary defender on a jump shooter, this is the way I pregame it. I break the court, especially on a three-point shot, I break that court right in half. And if he's on that opposite half of my center official and I see my center official picking up that play, my eyes are off that play. I'm not officiating that play anymore. I may mark, but I'm not looking. My eyes are off to rebounding responsibility. So here's a play. I'm not quite sure. It looks like our center's actually officiating the post play underneath, so it doesn't look like his head's on the play. Play it out, Nate. Watch our trail official react a little late as far as trying to get down. Oh, okay. Go ahead. So again, putting ourselves in the best position possible to officiate point of contact. Close out. Nothing occurs. Rebound happens. El Dorado gets it. Now we're going back the other way. But again, just remembering what can hurt us. You should be self. What can hurt me? Who's going to hurt me?
It's far on all the way. Vigil.
Okay.
So Curtis, real quick, this is the first foul. This is the first foul of the game.
Yep.
Okay, and I know in my pregame I talk about first fouls, making sure that everybody in the arena knows that is contact. Talk about these types of plays and what it is that you're what you want on this play.
So as far as dribble drives to the basket, what I always talk about in the pregame, and those of you that officiated with me before, is I talk about start, develop, finish, and processing the play to have a decision. By the time I do all that in my head and there's no effect and it's not obvious to me that it's a foul, I'm passing on this play in my pregame or in my officiating this game, because I don't think that it fits what has happened already in this game. So what you do when you put a foul, and I'm going to say marginal contact foul like this in a game, is now you put yourself and you back yourself into a corner, because now you got to go on the opposite side of the court and blow on that same contact, potential marginal contact on the opposite end for Capital. So that's the tough play. There's probably contact up top, marginal right there potentially, but was it enough to affect the shot of El Dorado? In my opinion, it did not. Now it backs us into a corner. And when I say that, you're going to see certain plays throughout this game that, and it's my belief that we blow on certain plays because what we've done in previous plays. So you call them game management plays, but you back yourself into a corner when you call a play like that. So that's a thought process. I'm not saying that that's everybody's thought, but that's my thought process on it, and just understanding that what it does to you. Back it up real quick, Nate. So this is huge right here. So we just had the N1, same official, now blows. We have a pretty hard foul. We want to make sure that we're within these players. But now watch our call-in official. So he reports a double-digit number, right? and the gentleman that actually fouled was number 1. So if you play it back, go ahead. If you play it back, and these are huge, and I'm talking about these because perception is reality and trust as a crew. So as our calling official reports to the table, you'll see that it was 1 on the foul, reports a double-digit number. Now you see the reaction to the El Dorado bench saying that wasn't 24, it was actually number 1, so we have to kill the play. So we want to make sure we're gathering the information before we leave the spot of the foul, and we get all the information. Center tries to give some information, but he still reports a double number. And what that does is potentially, and just say, I don't know who it's on, just say he reports number 24. Well, that's the big boy for El Dorado. The last thing you want to do is get an incorrect number and put a foul on 24, who's one of their best players. Now it affects the game down the line. So just be prepared to have the information before you reach the table, because it can have an impact down the road in our game.
Look at this, the one box down. Oh, and a finish.
Like I say, perception is reality, ladies and gentlemen. And once you lose trust in the coaching staff, now you get a lot of pushback in your games. And what happens in the pit, especially the state tournament at the pit, is you have games that go by really quickly. And a lot of the times the coaches aren't really on you because they're really focused about the game at hand. But you don't want to lose trust in the players and the coaches, especially early on. And that was only a couple minutes into the game. So we'll play it out a little bit, and you'll see that a majority of the offense for Capital is perimeter oriented. Again, 28-foot line is our guideline. We want to make sure that we're there officiating that play. And we're in our mind as we run through this offense for Capital, self-talk is imperative to say, okay, what's the next play? Looking down the road, what can hurt me as a referee? Now, here we go. Pause it.
Step back, 19.
Take it back just a little bit. Okay, stop right there, Nate. If you guys know any intel on Capital, number 24 for Capital is actually, I think, the leading scorer in Capital history. So the guy shoots the ball. Anytime he gets it, anytime he can, he's going to pull it. In my mind, I got to know that. Hopefully you have that information. If you don't, maybe you gain that knowledge throughout the game. But again, being 28 foot and below provides me a good position to officiate that play, go in and play it through, Nate. In my mind, I'm saying, okay, what's going to hurt me? How is he going to hurt me? Now you have a 2 to a 3, 3 to a 2. Boom, on the line, right? Shoots it. You have a point of contact play and a 2 to a 3, 3 to a 2. Not sure if you can see the point of contact. He does see that it's on the line, so I'm going to play it through, and you'll see him mark the 2. But what you want to be careful on, especially if it's late in the game, and that's a 2 to a 3, 3 to a 2, and you don't get to that 3-point line, that can come down to haunt you if you get that incorrect. So just making sure that you're refereeing the play at hand, and we'll worry about the next play when it occurs, and we'll bust our butt down the floor to be a lead official and officiate that when the next play occurs. So again, 28 foot below, officiating point of contact. What can hurt us? Here it is, Capital full court press, right? In our mind, we have to be ready to assist the center. Trail, you're engaged. This was a pretty erratic first quarter, ugly first quarter. There's a lot going on in this first quarter, so I'm not trying to pause it throughout the game, but there was a lot of things that were happening as both teams tried to fill each other out.
Big ball, no. So good. That was Seth the Royals. And try to settle him down. Roy Sanchez will take it.
All right, so we got a timeout. I cut out any timeouts off the video, so we're gonna get back into it. What I do know is that a few of you, if you have questions, I have you unmuted right now. Once we get to the end of the quarter, we'll. I see that Leonard Neal has his hand raised. So once we get to the end of the quarter, we'll. If you've got a question, just go ahead and click the raise hand, and we'll try to get to a couple questions in between quarters, and then we'll continue on with the video. We'd like to get as much video as possible. So here we go. We're going to start the second quarter, or start after the timeout.
6-2 to score. Capital on top of El Dorado.
So depending on how much time you guys had for the timeout, whether it was a 30 or full timeout, maybe you're getting together and talking about certain things that have occurred. So you're on the same page. There's some things that maybe you don't know about each team that you just found out. You want to make sure you share that information as much as possible during a timeout. So don't be afraid to talk during those timeouts.
They play half-court defense as good as anybody.
We'll play it out till 3:39. You guys can just watch, and As you're watching this, take a look at time and score. Take a look and envision yourself as the center or trail official. Here's a play, Nate, and I apologize. I just saw this earlier today. Take it back. This is preparation to understand what I've learned is called the lift principle. And watch 24 help defender, right? Athletic kid, scorer. So the big kid for El Dorado, he potential hook as he penetrates the lane and goes to the basket. So play it through, Nate. Watch number 24 come and attempt a block shot here. You can't really see it that well, but on my screen at work, bigger picture, you can see that he doesn't get on top of the ball. He's below the ball. And watch 24's reaction. So you see he's late. So by the time 24 gets up, he's probably getting maybe his wrist, and you'll see 24 saying, "Hey, he hit me." We got to be able to and be ready to assist on plays like that from the center or trail position, because our center's probably not. Our lead's not going to be able to see that type of contact. So just be prepared for that type of stuff, especially when you have a big kid like that you know can elevate and get up. Be prepared for that.
Drive all the way and a blocking goal. I think.
Okay. So run that through, Nate, again, and we play it out one more time in full speed. And let's talk about primary, secondary help. So play it out, and then we'll stop it. Okay. So run it back, and then pause it right when the contact's about to occur. Okay. Pause. Okay. These are plays that we should be talking about in our pregame as far as block charge plays and having one whistle plays. And I'm not quite certain if the lead official was going to blow on this. It looked like his body language says he was. But as an outside official, and this is how I pregame it, if we're going to come with a whistle from the outside, we make sure that it's cadence, right? Make sure that we're able to allow the lead to process the play before coming up with a decision. And in my opinion, looking at this play, it looks like the center comes up a little quick on the play as far as his mechanics concerned, and doesn't fully give the lead official an opportunity to blow on this play. So, you want to be very careful on these plays. This is a play where if there's two bodies to the floor, obviously we want to have a whistle on it, but we got to be patient on it so we don't have a large play on this. So go ahead and play it through. Just be careful with these plays. I'm not saying that he got it wrong or right. I'm not even going to discuss that. But I want to discuss in your pregame, just make sure if you're an outside official on a block charge play, and that's a primary, secondary help player for the lead, make sure you're allowing lead to process that play before coming, right? And I always say that a cadence whistle tells a story before we even have a conversation, because a lot of the times if you're an outside official and you blow on that play quickly, that's showcasing that you don't have trust in your lead official. Right, and now it puts doubt in our crew's mind. So if you have a cadence whistle, it tells me if somebody cadences in front of me, it's saying, you know what, he or she saw something I did not, and I'm totally good with that. When you come up right on contact, that's when the doubt starts to set in just a tad bit as a crew, and it happens. I mean, you have it in your game. So let's play it out, and we'll play it through 313. This is a multiple defender play.
Great job.
Again, look where all our offense is at. Perimeter oriented, cutters.
Side. Hands it off to Sanchez, and then a finish.
Okay, run it back real quick. This is a quickie, Nate. This is where we got to be able to trust the system and make sure that we have help. We're picking up the help defender, number 24 is lead, who has backside. And can our trail help out? Probably not, but we just got to stay engaged on that backside help. So this is, again, complex play, multiple defenders on the center side. We have to make sure that we trust the system. We're officiating the correct individuals, because the last thing we want as a center official is to officiate that secondary and forget the backside help. So go ahead and play it through, Nate. These are just things to think about as we're officiating. Trust the system. I have backside help. I'm going to trust that my lead official has block charge plays or secondary defenders, and we can trust each other as the system and as the game progresses. So 252.
Seth Arroyo's second field goal.
252, we have a secondary help play again. So pause real quick. Take it back to the initial inbounds, Nate. Okay, again, 28-foot. This is stop. 28-foot line, sideline oriented is in my opinion the best look on this play, because the last thing you want to do is be caught by surprise on a potential jump shot. So if you're 28-foot line, maybe 3 steps below, right where Coach Sullivan is
Can
at.
you see my cursor?
Yeah, take it down maybe 1 step, Nate. Boom, right there. And we're anticipating potentially that's going to be a jump shot. Be prepared, because watch our trail official. He kind of just stays stationary as the ball gets to him. And if we have imminent jump shot, 24 is going to contest. We're not able to officiate that play. So be prepared. Be prepared. Get underneath plays. Get underneath the play so you can see point of contact. Officiate the play that's in front of you. Go ahead, Nate.
Bryant was alone, gets it into Jefferson.
So here we go. Another block charge play.
All the way. That's going to be a charge the other way.
So if you're not talking about this, and I'm gonna tell you right now, this is not an NFHS guideline, but this is something that I think is easy for me and my crew when we step on the floor to officiate. When we have a center side drive, right, and we have a secondary help player, and anytime that the secondary defender is in the lane, so you're gonna see 12 come over for help defense, and he's legal, he's in the lane, that's a trigger, because a lot of the times we need triggers as referees to officiate a certain play. The triggers to say he's in the lane, that's a lead call. So my center's patient. He doesn't blow on it, even because a lot of times we come center side drive and we have double whistles on this. Our center does an awesome job of not blowing on it, allowing our lead official to come out strong, boom, right? And that's how we want it to look. Beautiful. Because the last thing we want to do is have a double whistle on that play. Now it causes confusion. Now lead can't come out and do his thing. So this is just, again, a triggers for officiating secondary defender seaside drive in the lane. That'll be a lead play. If he's completely out and say 25 or 23 comes right there, or 20, excuse me, and takes it outside the lane, the pregame that I have is that the center will take it. Again, that's against the NFHS rules, Nate, and I'm not vouching for that. It's just something personally that I do, whether it be at the high school game or the collegiate game.
Right. And really on this play, we want that center to really focus on the primary defender, which is number 22, and possibly number 20, who kind of just swipes. And that secondary defender that takes the player control foul definitely is a lead play all the way.
Absolutely. And Nate nailed it. We don't want to leave our primary defender backside help for a potential push and even that swipe down to get to secondary, because I know the best call and our best call is a block charge play. And we all want to come out and bang it out or block it out, and we forget about secondary or the backside help, and we get exposed as referees. So just be prepared for that. Put that in your pregame as you prepare for the upcoming year. So go ahead, Nate.
Hey, real quick, Curtis, as you're processing these plays, you just had a block that our center official called. What was that? 10 seconds, 15 seconds earlier. Then you have this play. Okay, what's going through your mind as far as play recall?
So this is where I talked about that play that occurred. It was the first foul of the game, right? And I want to say that was at the by 6:04, 6-minute mark. Again, we want to put these plays in our head and put them in our library throughout the game to say, okay, if we have similar contact, now let's make sure that we understand when we say we want to stay consistent as a crew. That doesn't mean that if we have a block on one end, we have to have on any type of contact a blocking foul on the other side. It comes down to similar contact. So if it's similar contact, right, we want to make sure that we're consistent in the play to say, okay, that's similar to the play I just had before at the 6-minute mark or the 5-minute mark. I want to make sure that I'm able to assess that play accordingly to say, you know what, it pretty much matched that same action as or previously called foul. And now both sides, coaches know, hey, at least they're being consistent on the play, because the last thing we want to do is blow a block on one side and then similar contact, go player control. That puts things into our game. I always talk about them in my pregame. Let's not put things in our game. We can control that. And if we bookend those plays with similar contact, we'll be okay. So that's a thought process to put in your head.
Cool. Thanks, Curtis.
Yeah.
All the way. That's going to be a charge the other way. Well taken this time by Angel Parra.
And I want to say the 2:36 mark. So go ahead and play that through. We're going to have a similar play. I want to say that this is a blocking foul as well. So this is 2.
It is. They go blocking on this next play.
High pick, post pick.
Stop real quick, Nate. So you'll see that our lead official right now is kind of hesitant to go over. You can go in the middle, come back out. There's nothing that tells you that you can't start your rotation and back on out. Potentially, if he goes and he's a little bit quicker, maybe he's not moving on this dribble drive, block charge play to the basket. So just be prepared, or in your mind, tell yourself, hey, if that ball settles, right, free throw line extended below and it settles, I'm able to go. I can start going. I can back out on any dribble drive. So go ahead and play it out, Nate. Talk about similar contact and potentially matching a call, right?
Driving all the way, Sanchez.
So you can run it back and say, okay, well, is he legal? Was he not legal? But this is a perfect opportunity for us to, and I think it's similar contact in nature, to say, let's chip this call because we're consistent as a crew. Now we go blocking foul. And I'm not saying he's wrong because it is close, and you'll see that potentially maybe he doesn't get legal until he lights and he's up in the air. But that's a perfect opportunity to come through and ship the call, right? Now, here's another aspect to this. Now, run it back really quickly. Did anybody see what the ball did? Right? Watch the ball. Block, everybody's eyes are on the block charge play. Our lead official, and this is a mechanic thing. So as our lead official blows, blocking foul, and he scores it, make sure that your mechanic is showcasing that the basket did go in. And as a help referee, so your crew, making sure that the trail official's picking up, did that basket go in? Because there's a lot of times, a lot of things going on when we have a block charge play and we forget about the basket, right?
And this is, I mean, and here's a communication thing. You see him count it, and then he goes to the table and he reports it as a count. But at what point did he communicate with his partners? And this is where the confusion starts to happen, is there's really no communication. So slow down at the point of contact. Communicate what you have. Let your partners go. The table can wait.
Right. And you'll see the mechanic from our lead official and throughout the game, his point is a lot towards the floor. So you're not quite sure whether he's pointing to the secondary defender, say that's on you, or score the basket. Okay. But just make sure you communicate as you're walking towards the table. Hey, basket, we have one shot. So as we go through, that's our second play that we go through. Now we look unsure. Perception is reality, ladies and gentlemen. So we go through one shot. Okay. Well, we didn't know as a crew. We should have known as a trail and a center official that ball went in. Okay. And again, we have a violation. Cool. It's a good pickup. But just make sure that we're running the game and we make the game as simple as possible for us.
Hey, I want to talk about just a basic coverage on violation. So whose violation is this, okay? And the center calls this. Remember, the center has opposite lane line and the shooter, right, where the lead has the opposite lane. So this should be a lane. In our manual, this is a lead violation. Heck, we got it. There's nothing wrong with that. But which both the lead and the center put their fist out, right? They mark the violation. It doesn't go, and then the center ends up taking it, right? Just for the purpose of correct mechanics, it would be a lead mechanic.
That's correct.
They call a violation. Sanchez going to shoot again.
So we'll run this through, and we'll get to the 2:24 mark of the first quarter. And again, I told you guys that this first quarter is going to take a while. And again, teams are filling each other out. It's erratic. It's not clean.
I know. That's a good pass to Lucy. Put it down and one.
So I talked about 2:24 mark, right? And I put this in my head, and it's just something that I thought about. So did our first call of the game play effect into calling this foul, or did our blocking foul in the previous play have anything to do with this particular call? Because if I go through it, There's a lot of other plays that we probably could have blown on, and I don't think that he swipes and hits him. I think he swipes and misses from my vantage angle. But it's just something to think about. When we talked about what we do to our game when we blow on certain plays, is we put stuff into our game where now we have to officiate certain plays differently down the road. So be careful when you do that. So if you don't like a certain call, make sure that you're communicating that with your partners and it's not getting into trouble, if you will. So we can talk about that if anybody has questions on that, but just making sure that we're not putting fouls in the game that do not need to be there. So we'll get to the 147 mark, Nate.
Capital come out with it. And Sanchez just lost it. Or was it Sice? I apologize.
Okay. So I put 147 as far as engagement, as far as responsibility is concerned of the backcourt. So as we go up from backcourt to the front court, the responsibility is the lead, the new trail position, right? So the ball shoots out of bounds and our center official comes up to ask for help. I talked about sense of urgency and a sense of engagement. We want to make sure that we're sound. So you'll see that our new trail drops his whistle, right, as the ball goes out of bounds. Our center is asking for help. This is a play that we want to make sure that we pregame as a crew before we step foot on the floor, right? So we do ask for help. We want to make sure that we're sure, confident. You'll see he drops his whistle. Nice, put his whistle back in his mouth, tweets, and goes. This is a sense of urgency, as far a little bit of engagement on this call. So just be prepared for it. And I don't think we have any out of bounds help calls on as a lead official, but in your game, your pregame, making sure that you're talking about this play. So if I come up and ask for help, and the example that I always give, Seaside Drive, multiple defenders, multiple players in the area, and I'm not quite sure or certain on a certain out of bounds play, I'm going to ask my center for help. What it does is it takes away the guess, and it shows that we trust each other. And now there's no pushback from the opposing coach, right? So just be prepared for that type of plays to occur in your game, especially this play right here. Ball shoots out of bounds, not quite sure coming up.
And Sanchez just lost it.
And as the trail official, you know that this play is your play in the backcourt. So when our trail drops his whistle, hold on to that, because you know your center's going to ask you for help. You almost have an understanding, because your center, if they're doing what they're supposed to do, has no idea how that ball got out of bounds. So make sure that you're ready to help when that center official asks you for help.
Absolutely.
Or was it Sice? I apologize.
So play this through, Nate. I don't have any other notes for the first quarter. So if we want to open it up to questions, we can.
Yep. Is there anybody that wants to raise their hand? You have any questions? I've got everybody kind of muted right now. I'm going to mute all, so if you have a question, go ahead and speak up. Everybody should be unmuted, so hold on. All right, hold on a second. You can unmute yourself if you have a question, actually. Anybody? I'll give you a couple seconds as I get to the next second quarter. Any takers? We have a couple guests on here that, I know that say hello to Mr. Wilson Holland. Thank you for... you're unmuted, sir.
Hey guys, hope all is well. This is good stuff. Nate and Curtis, once again, taking the lead and just making basketball in the state of New Mexico, officiating in the state of New Mexico better. So very proud of you guys, and I'm just enjoying it and soaking it all up, and hopefully I'll get another game next year.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, I'm going to go ahead and unmute Mr. Kyle Bacon. He's our guest next week. How are you, Kyle?
Hey, I'm good. How are you guys? Congratulations, everybody. Commend you guys and gals for being on the call. And, it's just good to see that despite what's going on, everybody's still vested in this endeavor. And, keep up the good work. Look forward to next week.
Awesome. Thanks, Kyle. I'm going to go ahead and mute you again.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Abel Hernandez, Cruces.
Hey, Abel.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
How much? Just going back to the trail position. My question would be: do we always want to start? Would want to start at the 28-foot line, pretty much sideline, coming in at trail every time? That's my question, and then work from there.
So a lot of the times what's going to dictate our position is the players in the ball. So that's a guideline, right? So I talked about a guideline or a black and white guideline in our mechanics book. We don't have to be, nor should we always be at the 28-foot line. So if that play is on the opposite third of the court and we haven't rotated, obviously maybe we're 2, 3, 4 steps lower below the 28-foot line. Maybe we're a couple steps onto the floor. But again, your starting point is not always, I want to say always at the 28-foot line, but that's just a guideline and a general tool for you. As the game progresses, you kind of dictate where your positioning will be.
And on a play like this, this is my location right here. If you can see the blue line, this is probably where I'm wanting to stand. Okay, as the play develops,
And yes, of course, the play is going to dictate where we position ourselves. But again, like Curtis just stressed, we use the 28-foot line as a guideline.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, had I been here, once that ball is here, I can either step here, which is probably more than likely where I want to be on this play. Okay. We good, Abel? Anybody else?
Yes, we're good. Thank you.
Yep. Everybody good? Any more questions? All right. Again, we'll keep going. I know that we're coming up on an hour. We'll go until Curtis has to go make dinner for the kids. So you can jump on, you can stay on. We'll go and stay on as long as you guys need us. Curtis, you good?
Yeah, absolutely. I have nowhere to go. I'm
Okay.
home. All right, Nate, go to start second quarter. We probably could even start it probably at the 7:40 mark of the second quarter.
Okay.
We can play it from there. That's fine.
Good defense so far as Jefferson will kick it back out. High arcing triple, and it's good. Vigil hitting a good three.
So 7:32, we have a play at the basket, and again, the thought process in my head, and I'm not saying this is not a foul because I don't have the same view as our trail, but giving first opportunity at plays in the basket for our lead official. So play it back, Nate, and see if I want to see if the trail official is engaged with this play the entire way to the basket.
As ugly as Eldorado's play, they're right back in this game.
So be prepared for a play like this. So watch white. I think that's white number 2, right? And you'll see this. And this is something that came out on one of the social media plays today. But this is a trend that's occurring right now. Watch 2's off arm as he penetrates the lane, and he'll use his left arm to ward off the defender. And probably the only look that's in the best look in the house right there on that particular play is trail. But we're not even below the 28-foot line on this play. So make sure you're staying engaged. Is this off arm by the white player come? Does that push off on the defender? So making sure that we're aware of that play. That's a long way to come get a play. That's not totally obvious. You'll see the reaction of the El Dorado player. Is it a foul? I don't know. Just making sure that you are engaged and staying connected to those plays to the basket. That way you can sell your call. The last thing you want to do is stay above that 28-foot line. You have a call that far away, and now, again, the trust gets questioned by the coach. And Sean, you had a question as far as close down. Yes, I mean you want to stay engaged and close down on that play. Because again, that's a long way to come get that play. And again, I think that the trail had the best look at potential contact. And again, not saying that that was not a foul or a foul, but just staying connected to that play.
I've gotten away with that. Nice.
So we're glitching a little bit, Nate.
All the way. The tip.
What do you get? Where are you at?
Okay, go ahead and run it back on this penetration. Okay.
What time? What's your time step?
I'm at 7:18 right now.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead and play it back, or play it through now.
Nice.
Pause it real quick. Okay. These are plays that we have to understand who is creating the contact on this play to the rim, right? Is the El Dorado player legal? Does he go from A to A, or is he going from A to B into the offensive player? Or is the number 24 for Capital going into the defender, causing his front arms to go forward? So we have to put that in our game, in our toolbox as well. When there's contact at the chest or the torso of a defender, 9 times out of 10, those arms are going to come forward and down a little bit. So understanding, in my opinion, this is a great layoff. I would hope I think that the lead official is coming down to officiate that play. We don't blow on that play. And he's closed on the play. Our center official has the best look on it. In my opinion, this is a good layoff by our crew.
Tip. Yes, it's good.
And then if you, again, when we talk about start, develop, finish, and processing the play to have a decision, now we have a tip in, now we have a good flow in the game, right? Again, putting in our toolbox, start, develop, finish, process the play to have a decision. As the play, again, as the game progresses, full court press. Now we have a flagger, number 24, athletic kid, slowing up the El Dorado offense. So we'll take it, Nate, to the 6:25 mark, I'm going to say. Okay, back it up. Go ahead. Play it out. Now, this is a play with the big kid from El Dorado. And I talked about the lift principle and getting on top of the ball, right? It's a little guard, and that's a 6'8" kid from El Dorado. The kid gets above the ball. A lot of the times we get surprised by plays like this, maybe because we don't see it all the time. We don't have that type of athletic ability in our area every night. But this is a good layoff by our crew, not to guess on this play. So you have 2 block shots, right? Number 24 blocks, I think, both of those. It's a good layoff to not react to and guess on a certain play.
No flow.
Just take it, Nate, to 6:07. 6:07 mark. Okay. Play it back one more time. And again, talk about multiple defender plays and complex plays as we roll through. We have to be prepped for potential strip and then also backside or say front side defender, number 24. And our center official needs to stay engaged. So this is a tough play. I think it's a clean strip from my look. But the 24 contact, the shooter, now you have to dictate, was this a shooting foul or not shooting foul?
Right there, good.
Because it's tough. You have a strip, potential body contact by 24. Now the ball kicks off of El Dorado. So this is where, again, being engaged on plays to the basket as a center official, and I'm not talking about whether it's a foul or not. I'm talking about staying engaged in plays to the basket where there's multiple defenders and trusting the system to make sure we officiate the closest defender to us. So tough play. Tough play.
Straight away, no.
You know, I know something that as we watch this, I'm starting to notice just that intensity start to pick up both teams. We saw on that play when we go back to, what was that, 6:07?
Yeah.
This is something we need to be careful. Does 24 White start standing over? Is he stepping over Orange, or not? Orange is visibly upset. You know, we need to keep those things in mind so that we don't let this game get out of control.
And that's a good point as we roll through this, and that's something that I put on my notes is emotional awareness of the game. And you'll see it coming up on certain plays that are going to occur right now. So 5:34 mark. Again, we have our trail position. I would like for him to be a couple steps below.
Not so much. Out of bounds to El Dorado.
So you can officiate that jump shot and point of contact plays. So run it to 5:34, Nate, if you can. Go ahead. Stop it. Take it back. Now focus on the midcourt line in front of the table, and you're going to see the pass come on that sideline. So you're going to see it come. There's the ball in transition, ball's passed, and now there's a push off that the trail official calls right there, right? And now all the action occurs outside of the camera view, so you can't see it. So what I put on this play, and this is something, again, talking about pregame and how we're going to handle technical fouls and atypical plays. You'll see the attention flows through midcourt. What's occurring right now, nobody knows but the trail official, right? So the first thing that, in my opinion, when there's a complex play and it requires a discussion with our crew, the first thing we want to do is send our players to their benches, right? Eliminate that. Eliminate any confusion, anybody getting in our way of talking about a certain play. Get them to their bench. Let's have a discussion. Let's showcase that we're running that particular play. Make a decision, get to the table, communicate with the table, and then bring our coaches together, right? So you'll see he'll report, our trail reports the foul or technical foul, right? And you see both coaches looking like, you know, what's happening here. So in my opinion, the best way to handle this, again, send your teams to the benches, discuss what the penalties will be, what we're going to do after this, and then bring the coaches together. Now notice the calling official, right? Calling official goes down and he goes to administer the free throws for the technical foul. The lead official goes to talk to the El Dorado Coach Sanchez here. Does he fully understand and aware of what just occurred? So the technical foul, in my opinion, happens on, I think, number 1 of El Dorado. But the only official that has the complete information is the administrating official right now. So just be aware of that so we don't have any pushback and we provide all the information possible to the coaches. So
and this definitely goes back to a pregame on how you want to administer free throws. You know, I know that anytime that players are involved and I issue a technical foul, I'm going to go talk to the coach. Now, if it is the coach that has issued the technical foul, then usually I'm the person that wants to go and administer free throws to get myself out of there. So, but again, that goes back to pregame and how you plan on handling those situations.
Right. And Nate's completely right. You got to pregame that on how you're going to handle those. So making sure you're putting that in your game. Here goes. Now you feel the emotion of this game. Even when I'm watching it, you can feel the emotion. You can feel here's Capital pressuring as much as possible and telling the crew, okay, well, we're going to try to push the envelope as much as possible to get away with potential as much contact as we can to get our steals, because that's the name of their game, right? Here's their steals, here's their fast break, and that's their game right here, right? That's what they did all year long, and that's what a lot of Northern teams do. We'll take it to the 320 mark, Nate.
Hey, Nate, hold up. Can we go back to that technical foul?
Sure.
So can we talk about the rule on that? So it was live ball.
What was that timestamp? I can't remember. 5:30. Oh, it's right here. So we have a live ball. And I'm not sure that he actually calls a foul, Curtis.
The way it looks, and I don't know exactly what he called. To me, it seemed like he called a live ball foul, player control foul, or team control foul on Capital, and then issued a technical foul on El Dorado.
Oh, okay. Is that what you're asking, Candace? What would
I was trying to understand
why we only shot 2.
Why we shot 2 and then where we put the ball in.
Yep. So the ball is always on all technical fouls. The ball is always division line, opposite table.
So, Candace, the way it looked when I was watching it and I can hear everything going on, it was a team control foul on Capital, number 2, and then there was a technical foul issued on number 1 of El Dorado. But again, I can't see everything that's happening on this.
So we're missing some information based off of what we have on the film. But I think, you know, if Curtis is correct, there's an offensive player control, then we have the technical foul to follow, then that would be the correct administration.
Correct.
What was
I was just wondering, I didn't know what had happened prior to the technical and how we ended up shooting the technicals. I didn't see the foul. I saw the reaction of the player from the backcourt going into the front court, but I didn't see exactly what had happened.
Okay.
So yeah, the call on the floor was a player control foul on White, and then out of retaliation or frustration, Orange pushed off, and that's where he got the technical foul. It was a dead ball technical foul at that point.
Awesome. Thanks, Alika, for clearing that up. Thanks, Alika is on this call. He's right now he is the lead administering free throws. So thanks for clearing that up for us. What's your next timestamp?
Let's get to the 3:20 mark. You can run it back. Yeah, run it to there. All right. Run it back one more time so we can see where this contact occurs. Right, so this is, stop it right there, Nate. So that play, it developed, it starts and develops and it processes through our center official, right, to our slot. And he's officiating that primary defender. But watch where the contact occurs and watch where it turns. And that's why I say in my notes here, trusting your partners to see the contact as it curls away from you. And I'm not saying that Alika can't see this contact, but just be aware that we're not guessing on certain plays. Watch where it opens up to. So even though this is our primary matchup, we can trust the system to say, I'm trusting you. And that's Nathan Dodge, I believe. Watch out. It's opened up to our lead. And there's a crack of whistles from both the center and our lead official. And at that point, as it turns away from us, right, we don't want to guess on the play. We got to trust our partners that we're able to help on those certain plays. So again, not to say there's certain plays that turn away from us and we can't see them, but the film does show that it's opening up to the lead. So just something to be aware of, and I put on my notes and you always heard this term, curl away, stay away play. But if you can't see it, don't guess on the play and allow that official that has an open look to officiate that play. So something to take note in your game. So I'm gonna play it through, Nate. We'll get to the 2:35 mark. And now this gets to what Nate referenced earlier, and I referenced earlier as well, is the emotion of the game, okay? The emotional awareness of what's going on. Now the frustration starts to build. Let's stop it real quick, Nate. And I want you, every time you look at film, take a look at the score, take a look at the time, and now this game's starting to get, El Dorado's starting to pull away. And this is, when I say 10 points, there's not a lot of points that were scored. This is when Capital starts to pull away in this game. Now you have to be aware of the emotion of the game. So run it through, Nate, 2:35.
The drive and deflected out of play.
So this is where things start to get emotional a little bit. And you see number 1 from El Dorado. He blocks the shot and he flexes on, I think, number 20, whatever number he is for Capital. Again, this is just emotional awareness. Here's a block shot. Here's a flex looking at the player. You got to put this in your head to say, okay, I got to be aware of dead ball officiating, right? So when that ball's dead, you've heard that term, ball's dead, we become alive. We're officiating players. So that block shot occurs. Here's the flex on him. You already know that there's already a little emotion on that previous out of bounds call. I think that was at the 6:07 mark of this quarter. So again, making sure that you're putting these plays in your head to understand what could potentially happen down the road in our game, okay? Take us to Nate, and again, just booking these plays, not to say anything occurred in these. 2:04, Nate. Now this is where our positioning potentially can, stop right here, run it through, could potentially get us into trouble, right? So we're in good position here, but we also have to be and understand what play is developing in front of us, right? So if we come too far into the court, bam, now we have to go on the court to get out of the way as opposed to getting sidelined, right? So this goes back to the entire first quarter and in the second quarter of trail positioning and making sure that sideline-oriented 28-foot lines are guideline. Again, we couldn't get there because we had a primary matchup near the half-court line. But just be aware of it. Okay, these are just points to make. This is what potentially can get you in trouble. You can get run over. Ball can get kicked off of you. Just little tiny things that you need to be aware of as you officiate as a trail position.
That chance, it was in and out on him, wasn't it?
Run it back real quick, Nate. And I just want to notate Alika here on this play. Imminent jump shot, right? So 24, program's leading scorer.
That chance.
I like his position. I would say maybe Alika can drop down a one step to his right to officiate it. But again, he's on the play. right? He doesn't bail out. There's a lot of times as referees, and I see this, and we all see it, is the play starts to come to us as a center referee, and our first reaction is to start bailing up top to the half court line. So Alika keeps his positioning, maybe a step down, and he has great position to officiate 1, 2 to a 3, 3 to a 2, and point of contact at number 24 for El Dorado. So again, these plays can happen in front of us at any given point throughout the game, so just be aware of it. Nate, take us to 144. And this is just an out of bounds help play, and I can't remember. It's just the mechanic that
Almost the steal. Oh, it
so
was.
this is, I like this in general. I know this is not a mechanic through the NFHS. It's something that I do as well, but this is a tough play. Multiple defender players on this play. Tips on 24 White, then tips on El Dorado. I can't tell if that's exactly what happened, but Alika sold the play for me to say, stop the clock, boom, tip, now we go out of bounds. And I really like the call. So when I'm watching officials and you showcase trust in the players and the coaches trusting you, our mechanics go a long way. So when we started this call, I said, getting in the mirror and work on your mechanics, make sure that you, even out of bounds calls, what's a strong mechanic? I always talk about dialing up or dialing down your calls, because you don't want to sell your call every play, right? You don't want to sell it every out of bounds. You don't want to sell your blocking call every play. You want to be able to dial it up and dial it down, and that's what makes you from a good referee to a great referee. Let's go to 118, Nate. Or actually, you can just play this out.
They haven't capitalized on one thing working so hard.
So we talk about emotional awareness again. Here is play to the basket. 24 goes to lay it up. All right, we got a foul. Play it through one more time, Nate. Now, again, multiple defenders, complex play. Who has which defender? We have to be aware and trust the system. The point I want to make here, again, watch 24 flex on number 24 for El Dorado, right? Now watch number 1, who I believe was issued the technical foul earlier. Hard foul or attempted blocking was a hard foul. Watch number 1 come from behind and push, right? So, again, the emotion of this game right now is picking up. Capital's starting to pull away from El Dorado a little bit. You have a hard foul, now you have a push from behind. Your antennas right now should be going up, right? If we have a next dead ball as far as a timeout's concerned, I'm bringing my crew together and saying, hey, look, let's be aware of what's going on right now. The emotion is very high. Let's make sure that we're good dead ball officials, and we issue, fouls accordingly or technical fouls accordingly. I always say, if we stop it right there, Nate, here's just something that I pregame, and I always say double technical fouls are our friend, because the reaction of number 1 from El Dorado was done because number 24 from White from Capital flexed on number 24 from El Dorado, right? So you got to talk about, okay, his reaction was due to number 24's reaction. If we only whack number 1 of El Dorado, how do you think that coach from El Dorado is going to feel, or the players are going to feel? So you have to understand that as well. So pregame that before you step foot on the floor. Go ahead, Nate. 102.
He misses the first free throw.
So watch the rebounding action underneath. Okay. I like the mechanic, but we have to understand who's creating what contact. So run it back and watch number 10. He gets caught in a bad position and he tries to fling the El Dorado kid and kind of hooks him, but it looks from the vantage point, in my opinion, just looking at this face value, it looks like the El Dorado kid is pushing at the hip. In my opinion, 10 pulls him, whistles blown by Lika. Watch number 10's reaction. Right? That's a dead giveaway of a foul. And I'm not saying always, but just be aware of who the foul is on. And if you don't have a great look, make sure that you're trusting your center, your trail to officiate that play. So again, just making sure we pick up the correct action on rebounding activity. And a lot of time you see number 10 right here picking up his arms to say, well, what did I do wrong? I'm not saying that's always the key and our trigger to say we got it wrong. It's just something to be aware of, okay? Run it now, Nate, and this will end our second quarter and get to halftime is 1.7 before the half ends.
Hey, so real quick, Wilson, just in the message box, number 1, going back to the technical foul, number 1 already assessed the T. Don't allow him any room. So let me, can I unmute you, Wilson, so you can kind of You want to explain that? Hold on a second.
Out in front. Look
Let me find you real quick.
Window, yes. Arroyos has 8 points
Wilson, where are you at?
That's 118, Nate.
from El Dorado.
118?
Yeah.
Okay, let me go back to 118 and let me unmute Wilson so he can kind of explain what he's talking about. All right, Wilson.
So we've already assessed number one for El Dorado with the technical foul earlier in the game. At this point in time, to allow him to push that player like he did, he gets no room. I believe that act right there in itself, we have to address the sporting-like behavior immediately. However, we may do that with the technical foul or with some conversation. But one's already been hit once, we may have to dump him. He did shove that kid in the back. That's my opinion on that play. I just wanted to bring that to your attention. If you hit someone already and they come up and they're acting out again, we're going to have to address that.
So, thanks, Wilson.
Yeah, and that's a great point that Wilson makes, because 9 times out of 10, if you have a disruptor in your game and he's already received a technical foul this early on and you don't address him, I guarantee you he's going to continue throughout the game. I mean, he's going to be a nuisance, or she. So 1.7, again, this is just a last-second shot, and I just talk about repositioning and adjusting on imminent jump shot. So watch our movement. Take it back a little bit, Nate, and I talk about anticipating the next play that's going to occur. Watch our movement from our center. I always say that's Alika. He anticipates potential cross-court pass. Look at his adjustment. Not up, but down, right? Now he's able to officiate 2 to 3, 3 to a 2. And does this play get blocked, or is there a point of contact on this play? In my opinion, he gets to the ball, and there's hand contact up top, which in my opinion is irrelevant to the play, and he's able to see that play. But I just wanted to point out good reposition and adjust for Lika on this play, being prepared for that type of scenario that's going to occur that can hurt you. If that was a last-second shot, just say that's 1 point in on the clock in the fourth quarter, I guarantee you that's going to be a highlight of that game that the coach is going to be questioning you about. So good job on that positioning.
Davis with you.
So do we have any answers before we get into the second half? Any questions? Again, like I said, don't feel like you have to stay longer than you want. We'll keep going until Curtis gets tired. But like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask real quick. Once we get going, then we'll wait till the next break. So we have any questions?
Yeah, I actually want to go back to that technical foul, Wilson. So again, his number one's reaction was based on 24 White's reaction. So I think maybe that's why I hesitated. And of course, this was my first state tournament, and so I didn't want to be I didn't want to have to eject somebody. But so would you have called a double technical foul there then?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
So think about this. It's your first state tournament. You didn't want to eject anybody. What if the person who I know is assigning, say it was a semifinal game and they wanted to assign a championship game. They want to see if Lika can take care of his business or if Wilson can take care of his business.
Right.
By not ejecting that player, then they're going to say, well, he can't take care of his business. Why do I want him in the next game? So have that thought in your mind of don't worry about all that. If you believe that the act deserves a technical foul, needs to be assessed and assess it, regardless of this is your first state tournament game or the first game of the year.
Well, I think the reason why I hesitated so much was because it came after 24 flexing on red.
Right. Well, and exactly. And what Wilson's trying to say is, look, it's your first state tournament or your 10th state tournament. The player earned the technical foul. You didn't give it.
Gotcha.
So, hey, real quick, Dana wants to say something real quick before she logs off. So go ahead, Dana.
Thanks, Nate. And along those lines, if you give a technical foul because a player earned the technical foul, our office is always going to support that. So just know that you have our backing for stuff like that. I am actually going to hop off for the night. I've got some stuff to do before I actually turn in. I just wanted to say thank you to those of you who have logged in. it's awesome to see so many people interested in basketball officiating on a Wednesday night in April when we're all at home. I really do appreciate it. And Curtis and Nate, thanks for taking the lead on this and letting me join in and see what's going on. Really good job. And everybody, I hope you're enjoying it and learning. And it's good to see you all staying connected with the officiating family. So thank you all so much and hope to see you back next week. That's all I have.
All right, DP, have a good night.
Thanks, Nate.
All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. Again, like I said, this is being recorded too. We'll go and I'll have this file, so anybody that wants to go back and watch it, we'll also use this for training clips throughout the season.
Hey, Nate, Curtis.
Yep. Go ahead, Abby.
Hey, I just think that, and I don't know if you were going to get to this or not, Curtis, but I think that it's really important to talk about at this point, since we've gotten to halftime at this game, that, you talk about what you have. I mean, you talk about what we've seen at halftime. You talk about, hey, we've already administered a technical foul. We already had that issue again with number one. We've already hit him once. We've got 24 flexing on people. We need to nip that stuff in the bud, so let's make sure that we're on top of that when we come out to start the third quarter.
No, you're absolutely right, Abney. That's exactly what we need to do when we get to the locker room, is discuss certain plays that have occurred, and some of our disruptors in the game. So making sure you're doing that throughout the game as much as you can during timeouts, and then especially when you get to halftime, we're talking about everything. How can we be better referees? How can we manage certain situations a lot better? So great point.
Yep. And, definitely it's something that you have to be good at. And, not on the call today, Jimmy Casas, I mean, that is one thing that I think anybody that has been taught by Jimmy Casas, and Wilson can vouch for this, is he talks about dead ball officiating, and that's where you really earn your money. And this is a great opportunity. I know, speaking for Dana and myself, who are assigning the state tournament, in a game like this is an opportunity for you to impress us, increase your stock in this tournament, and what happens at the end of the week. This is a great game for you. You want this game in order to showcase at the end of the week.
Absolutely. Nate, go back to 7:51 now at the start of the third quarter. And this is something that, in my opinion, when you have intel of a team, I think the strength of El Dorado is their inside game. And watch the first play out of the halftime. They go straight into their bigs, right? So in my mind, that I booked that play in my head to say, okay, now they're going to start utilizing their bigs a lot more. And you'll see who starts taking over the game for El Dorado on this play. So we'll take it to 7:31. And take it back really quick, Nate, and I'm going to walk through this play just really quick. I don't know if this is a foul or not, but it potentially looks like one, the way the body turns of number 2 from Capital. But now watch the action of 24 White. Does he go over number 1 or does he go through number 1? So the note that I put on here was, don't compound not calling a foul in the first action, right? And then not blowing your whistle on this illegal action by 24. So you'll see potential bump. Now he goes through number 1. Run it back one more time, Nate. Does he go through the body of number 1? And in my opinion, he does on this play. So just making sure, putting things in your mind, don't pass on the play just because you've missed a play prior, okay? Nate, let's take it to 5:57. I will try to get through this game. This is just more engagement as a trail official. 5:57 in the third, dribble drive to the basket. Go ahead. Again, this is our trail official, same official. Stop it. So if you see it when the play initially starts, develops, and it finishes on the lap of our lead, you see no movement. Again, this is just, putting in your mind, staying engaged in plays to the basket as a trail official, especially when it starts in your area. Go ahead, Nate. Okay, let's get to 403, Nate. 403, and this is another dribble drive to the basket.
Overall, still in striking distance. This pops out and out of bounds.
Okay, go ahead. Run it back. So pause it there, Nate. Take it back. Okay, watch our head of our stop it. Watch our head of the lead official. I mean, right now it seems like he's stacked, but he was officiating, I think, that initial defender that was on the sideline near the 3-point line. Who's going to officiate and who has the best look at this secondary help play coming to the basket, right? And so in my opinion, what happens here, I believe from this look that the El Dorado defender is going A to A and is turned by the contact of capital, right? So don't be surprised on who initiates the contact on this type of play. So in my opinion, I put in my note, good job with the crew not reacting to the white player initiating contact on El Dorado, because it turns the El Dorado player to make it look like it's a foul, and we don't react to that play. But you got to understand as a crew, watch our trail. Our trail has the best look on this play, and I believe that's our same trail official as far as engagement. In my opinion, he has the only look in the house on that play as far as an A to A or A to B look. So don't get caught off guard on those plays, and don't guess as like Alika's here at center. It's a tough play to see from the center position, especially if you have backs and butts on that play. Don't guess on it. So in my opinion, that was a great job. Or, if it was a guess, great. But I think it was a great job by the crew of not reacting to that white player initiating the contact. Nate, let's get to 347. Again, this is just talking about closing in on players, especially with some of the things that have occurred already in the game.
Somehow, Bolsey comes out with a hit finish. Very fortuitous the way that played out for us.
Yeah, here, especially Curtis, with everything that's gone on, we've got two bodies on the floor tangled up. Either the center or, the center probably should just close down on this play and go stand over them, let them know you're there.
Yeah. And he wants to go and he backs out, Lika, and I think he thought it was going to be a jump ball. But at this particular moment, once that foul and our lead official hits his whistle, I'm coming in and I'm closing quickly, especially what's occurred already in the second quarter with technical fouls and emotion of the game. Close in. All you got to do is verbalize, I'm here, gentlemen, easy up, I'm here, guys, and let them get up on their own. Because the less that you show that you're there, the more the players are going to react, especially if you have players standing over each other.
Hey, real quick, Wilson, you want to go ahead and mention that?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, so just like Nate and Curtis are saying, you got bodies on the floor, especially in a game with this much emotion. We need an official in there. We always say 2 in, 1 out. Someone's got to be close enough to draw the chalk line. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So make sure, as Curtis said, make sure you're standing over them so they not only see you, not only hear you, but they see you. And I always use that analogy. No, you're the forensic guy. You got to come in there and draw the chalk line. So be prepared.
All right, Nate, let's run it to 240. Okay, and here's a pretty interesting play. 240. Okay, go ahead and run it through there. So you're going to see that there is a screen action on the opposite third that's going to occur here. So 22 is going to come and screen. Stop it there. So we should be talking about certain plays like this in our pregame as far as who's officiating who. This should be a 2-referee play, right? This should be a center trail play with our lead officiating all the other action that's going on in our front court. So we talk about 1, 2, 3, 4s as far as who's officiating which player. In my opinion right now, right, the center official is officiating the primary defender of number 2 of Capital, okay? Once his eyes go to that defender, now he can pick up number 22 White. So there's a lot of action that's occurring in our center's primary. And now watch the next action that's going to occur, okay? To me, it's very difficult for our center official to pick up this play, especially lateral movement, but run it through. And I'm not saying he got it wrong. Now we talk about engagement and double whistles. Okay, run it back, Nate, and watch our trail on his mechanic. And I'm not quite sure what he's waving off. And I think it's just more of his mechanic that he utilizes. So you see him wave, bam, and Alika hits his whistle. Okay, where that play ends up and what the action occurred prior, to me, in my opinion, and others can disagree, but to me, in my opinion, that is a trail play if he's engaged in that. I think secondary help comes from our lead official with the next help coming from center, right? So I think our lead official can see our lateral movement occurring. If our trail's engaged a little more, he can sell a little bit more. If he's pumping up maybe his hand up in the air as far as a foul and a fist, maybe that slows down Alika. But that goes back to one of the first calls of our game, a blocking foul that we had from our center, same official, of blowing quick. And I think this is a play that we're patient on, we're cadence on, and our trail official can see this play. So just something to think about. These are complex plays. These are gray area plays where you want to make sure you pregame these types of plays.
And if we're looking at positioning, if trail is 28, so up at the top of the screen, this is our 28-foot mark, right? I mean, if we put the trail over at the 28-foot mark, sideline oriented, I mean, they've got a great look at this play. That trail is going to be able to take a step down to get a better look. So just something to keep in mind. That's why positioning, floor positioning is important at all times.
Remember how they moved the ball so well and that got a turnover?
All right, let's go take it, Nate. 218. 218. I'm not quite sure what this note is, but 218. Okay. And I'm just notating this foul again. Go run it back one more time, Nate. I don't think this is a play that we play on. Was there contact? I think it's marginal. But we talk about plays that we have blown in the first half, and does it match up to what we're doing? You see the El Dorado coach asking for a foul, right? Those are plays early on in the game where we don't want to blow on that marginal contact, and now we're letting that type of stuff go. So just be aware of what you're doing in your game early on, especially with marginal contact plays, especially plays at the rim.
Hey, real quick, I actually hadn't noticed this until right now. So let's make sure we understand what the status of the ball. Does he actually have control? Does he not? Again, if we slow it down, I mean, it almost looks like he bobbles it and then gains, So just know that if you're going to blow that travel, Alika, that you want to make sure you know the status of the ball.
Cool. Nate, 44 seconds. And this is just mechanic-wise, waving off a shot, and then we'll get to the fourth quarter.
Miss for the Eagles. Sanchez was fouled. The ball from behind on the court. It'll be the
Run it back one more time because it was kind of lagging a little bit. So we have a dribble drive to the basket, and we have a backside hit by El Dorado there, right? And then he shoots. So again, this goes back to mechanics, understanding what you have on the floor to sell the call to everybody. That way there's trust. If you're coming up and you're showing a backside hit before he lights and before he gets into his shooting motion, I want to come up and I want to wave that call off, right? I want to emphatically wave it off. No shot, balls on the end line. Right, so make sure you're selling that. Again, just something else to put in your toolbox as a referee. Backside hit before he gets in his shooting motion, wave it off. That way your officials know what your crew and partners know what you have, and the players and the coaches know what you have. So just something to think about when you have certain plays like that. 9.3, Nate.
bounce pass. That was a bad pass by Domino Lovato, and
Okay, here's a play that we should be talking about in our pregame, and this is, I'm not saying that the Alika can't see illegal contact or not, but you have to ask yourself, can you see the entire play from number 20 White potentially extending his left arm into the torso of the El Dorado player? Okay, can he fully see that, and who has the best look at that play? Okay, in my opinion on this play, we're patient. And the best look on this play, and it comes from, it's going to come from a far referee. Well, if you have a push-off of that nature, I'm not saying it's that bad, but if you do have a similar play and you have a push-off, Our center official can see that, and he can come across and get that play. And you're going to see his body reaction. He'll play it out, Nate. Look at the body reaction to the contact. Watch him come. He wants to come, right? And he sees it. So just be aware, pregame these plays, who's going to get transition block charge plays, who has the best look at those.
And this is a transition play, so that center has will to will. So you know, we're just not used to it, and we don't like it. We're taught to stay in our primary. We're taught not to go across 2 or 3 lines. Well, in transition, all that is off, right? Be prepared and understand that you've got that middle third, and again, there's really, you know, our center looks like he's ready to book it. Well, the action is still in the backcourt, so be patient.
All right. All right, Nate. So let's take it to something to be aware of, guys. So I'm just bringing these plays up. I'm not saying these plays are wrong, right, whatever it is. Just be prepared for these types of plays as you get to next year. 7:43, Nate. Let's get to the fourth quarter.
Yes, it's good to go for Capital, and they're on a 6-0 run now. As Ryak lost it, bodies on the court.
So it's kind of lagging right here, but let's be aware again of what Capital likes to do. What's their tendencies, right? So now you already know that Capital likes to full court press. You know, they push the envelope as far as contact's concerned, and now they make you work. Who has, in my opinion, ask yourself, who has the best look on potential contact with number 23, I believe number 23 White or 32 White going through the body of the El Dorado player? Okay. So we have to be engaged and prepared for that type of contact, especially with a lot of our action taking place in the backcourt. So don't bail out as a trail official, or excuse me, you're going to the new lead, the old trail, new lead. Don't bail out so much, because what's going to dictate our position is going to be player of the ball. The best look in the house would be that new lead official if he's engaged on that play. So if you run it back, Nate, one more time, again, be prepared for these types of plays, for the contact that's occurring, because you already should be in your mind knowing that Capital is going to press. And now watch the Capital player, the kid that gets bumped potentially by 32 White. What's his number? It's number 1 again for El Dorado. You're going to see his emotion coming up as he stands up. So you can play it through, Nate.
We're on a 6-0 run now. As Ryak lost it, bodies on the court.
Play it through. Again, we closed in nice. Alika closes in nice. Now we got 2. Now you kind of see the emotion of number 1 again, right? That's as Wilson was talking about. Does he get a leash? He already got his first one. You know, so just understand the emotion, understand the contact that just occurred potentially from Capital to El Dorado, and what they potentially got away with. So let's go to 7:24.
Real quick, Wilson, will you make that point real quick to the group?
Yes, it's the fourth quarter of the basketball game. Curtis has been saying it the whole game. Capital presses pretty much the entire game. We had a made basket as a center. Why would I take off? I have to prepare myself that it's a made basket. Capital's going to press. I need to stay at home. Does that make sense, guys? You know that a team's going to they've been pressing the entire game. When the basket goes through and you're the center, you got to stay back and help. Where's our lineman at? We're going to be aligned with the second line of defense or the second defender. So as a center, you can't bail out knowing that Capital presses pretty much the entire game.
Cool. Thanks, Wilson.
All right, let's go to back up, Nate. It's 7:24, so you're on that play right now, but back up. Okay, go ahead and play it through there. Again, Capital's pressing half court, but they never stop. It's kind of lagging here. Back it up one more
That's
time.
because your kids are playing Call of Duty inside.
You know what? They just got home. I bet you it is. So again, pressure defense at Capital. Watch this. Retreating defender, hands up in the air. Right, 22. Now we blow, and I think that's the same referee that blows on a previous play in the third quarter. Making sure we're picking up the correct defender. And was there a backside hit and push? Doesn't look like it. But just, again, staying engaged. I like his engagement. He's below the 28-foot line, just making sure we're picking up the correct player, because he did have backside action on that play. Take it back. You have number 20, I believe, swipe from the backside. And that number 22 is the responsibility of our lead official. So again, just be careful on where plays to the basket, and we're officiating and trusting the system as it relates to plays to the basket.
Right. So on this play, you can see it's number 12 White is the primary defender and the backside defender, whereas 22 is the help defender. 22 is leads, 12 is trails. So if there's contact on 12, absolutely trail come in. On this 22, trust that lead's going to have that play.
Okay. Just another point to make. Let's get to the 7-minute mark. Again, this is just a timeout mechanic real quick, Nate. I'll just get to the 7-minute mark. And we have, again, bodies to the floor. Play it out right there. So we're going to have a missed free throw, I believe. Bodies to the floor, and Capital obtains possession on the ground. Ball comes 20, timeout, timeout, timeout. So he points, and now he points to the player and points to the out-of-bounds spot. So again, just to make sure that we're understanding what occurred on the play. When you have a timeout and there's potential a tie-up in a jump ball situation, and you're coming up and nobody knows what's going to occur, make sure you come up, timeout, and point to the bench, right, and verbalize it. Timeout, White, timeout, White. Because if you see what occurs throughout that, and it goes to commercial break there, but what occurs in there is just confusion for everybody on the court, whether it be the players or the coaches and your crew, to understand what's occurring. So come up, close in, timeout, 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 up, hit your whistle, timeout, White. And now understanding the point, cool, yeah, we understand where the ball's coming out of, but understanding and telling a story to visualize it to everybody in the facility. Nate, take us to 6:18. This is a funky play, and I'm not even quite sure what occurs on it. If it's a jump stop, I don't really know, but run it back. I think it's prior to that. Okay, right there. Just be aware of certain plays like this.
They're going to give him a jump step, Steve, I believe.
What I put on my notes is, what is this? Question mark. I still don't know what it is. If you're not sure, don't guess on the play. So run it back one more time, Nate. And it's just something to think about. A lot of the times as referees, we get confused on what occurs. I don't know if he has possession, then puts down the ball, dribbles it, and then takes a hop. My mindset on that play is, I don't even know what the heck I just saw. Right? So if you're not sure, and this goes to your entire game, if you can't see it, you're not aware, don't guess on the play just because you think it looks ugly. Ugly doesn't always mean that it's a travel or a foul. So I'm not saying that wasn't a travel. It looked really ugly. 5:56, Nate. Okay, go ahead. Play it from there. Run it back if you can. Go ahead.
Full speed?
Yeah, full speed. I'm talking about good layoff and who's initiating the contact and lift principle of the ball to understand, did the Capital defender get on top of the ball and actually get to that type of contact, or was there illegal contact? In my opinion, that was a good crew layoff of not reacting to that type of action. So understanding who's initiating the contact and where their hand is at in relation to the ball and the wrist or their elbow.
It's
4:51, Nate.
Nothing but number. The handoff.
Okay, go ahead and go ahead. Just run it through there.
Was tipped away by Jefferson down low. He saves the layup. Got a 2-point game with 4:52 to play. I thought that was just an easy money right there.
So we're gonna have front court inbounding. Watch the players on the opposite lane line, number 24. So essentially a semi back cut, right? And it's a foul and one.
The window.
Okay.
Sanchez.
So play it back, and I want you to watch the reaction of 24 as he scores, and what does he do?
2-point game.
Okay, there's a back cut.
The window.
So back cut, and he scores it, right? We call a foul. Number 24 is in the face of number 5, flexing and yelling at 5. And what is 5 reaction? There's a push. Now we get the second guy, right? Normally that's what occurs. We don't see the first action. We get the second action that occurs on number 5. So that's our second technical on El Dorado. And we have not reacted to or taken care of business in a sense for any reaction that Capital has done. So that's essentially 2 flexes already that Capital has done. Now reaction by El Dorado. You talk about the frustration that starts building from the player's perspective and the coach's perspective. So understand that. Let's make sure we pick up our first action. That way we don't come to the point where we have now technical fouls in El Dorado when we probably potentially should have a double technical foul offsetting each other, no free throws, and just shooting the action of the foul for 1 shot. Nate, I think you had a couple in after 451, but if you want to take it to 142.
Yep.
Let's see, you had 350. Go to 354, Nate, real quick, and you talk about this is a big play as far as do you have a kick ball in the play. So 354, and then we'll run it down to 142.
Big free throw. Morrow with
Okay.
6 points. It's 15 of 23 from the free throw line as a team, the Eagles. And that's off Parham's leg. Oh, and it was touched when it didn't need to be.
Okay, I see what you saw in your notes, Nate. I think potentially what happened is there was – oh, never mind. You're saying is this a kicked ball, right? Can you take your cursor and your play button off the score, Nate? Because I can't see the score.
Yeah. Hold on.
So at this point, 3:56 in the game, 4th quarter, El Dorado's down 4, right, making a comeback. Does that ball get kicked by El Dorado, right? Now, once that ball potentially gets kicked by El Dorado, the Capital player goes to retrieve the ball, and that goes out of bounds on him. Why is it a big play? Well, you're under 5 minutes. You're already in the 4th quarter. If we call a kickball violation, now Capital retains possession in the backcourt, right? But since we didn't call the kickball violation, now El Dorado has a chance. So run it through and see. Let's just see what occurs on this play. Because essentially when you have big plays like this, Nate, you probably have a made bucket by the team that offended. And you can kind of see how the ball kind of moved away and the reaction of number 4. So let's see what occurs here, and then we'll play it down to the 142 mark. Just play it through, and then we'll go from there.
Jefferson on a reset. Morrow has a step, window, no. The putback, no. A second effort. Segbosi. Yes.
And there it is, right? So you have 2 points essentially awarded to El Dorado when we probably should have had a kickball violation on El Dorado. Now you have El Dorado pressing, right? Now you got to be prepared for that as well. They talk about who's taking over the game. You talk about the big kid, number 24. So that's where that foul in that first quarter, potentially, if we put it on him, comes into effect. Because if we put a foul on number 24 and that's his 4th, and we get a 5th on him, El Dorado's probably not making a comeback on this play. This game, excuse me.
So I'll tell you from, and Wilson can probably, and I'm going to ask him to put his athletic director hat on. This game goes down and we go back to that kickball. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's a big miss, but trust me, that clip is coming to our office from our athletic director because their coach wants to know why this was missed and it cost them 2 points. Wilson, you're on if you.
Absolutely, but I'll have to put my referee hat back on because I've been in many of those situations. Sometimes we just miss them, and it happens, and we're only human.
Right.
And tough play. We want to get where we want to see every play. We want to be really, really good. We want to be 100%, but we're not. We're 97%. No, we're going to be pretty good when we blow our whistle. But yeah, as an AD, I'm going to get the play, and I'm going to have to tell my coaches they missed the play, but they're human. We didn't get them all right, just like you didn't make all your shots. So
cool. Thank you for that. What was the mark you want? 150 what?
Let's go to 142, Nate, and we got 3 more plays, and then we'll
start to close it up.
Yeah, 142.
It's awesome. For those of you that have stayed on, we didn't intend to go 2 hours, but hey, what else are we going to do?
I'll tell you, if you haven't broken down film before, that film can go for hours and hours and hours. So yeah, like Nate said, we didn't anticipate this going that long. It just
What was the time you said? 140?
142. So run it through right there. Let's see what occurs.
Here's a floater, no. That was badly missed. Look at this. Got numbers. No call.
Okay. Now you talk about a potential big play, block charge play at the rim, right? Was our defender legal guarding position? Did our defender go through him? In my opinion, he does, right? Talk about a big play. So this is 56-53 Capital. If we ship it, El Dorado gets the ball. The good thing about this play right here is that El Dorado is able to obtain possession of the ball, so nothing really affects us in a negative fashion. But just be prepared. If Capital did retain possession on that play, that would have come back to hurt us. And now we come back and see El Dorado comes back to score again. Now there's number 24. So I just talk about plays and understanding the effects of them. And if we potentially don't ball on that play as the lead official, our center and trail official can help on that play. So let's talk about the 13 second mark. 13 seconds. Run it back. I think it's 13.7, but go ahead and run it to past. Go run it through there, Nate. Go ahead. So 56-55, right? 1 possession game.
58-55.
Oh, 58-55. It just changed. Okay.
Timeout. 13-6 to play. We're going to keep it right here. Steve, the nerves.
We're out of timeout right now. Are you delayed a little bit?
Okay. No, I apologize. Okay, so here's what I put on this. And right here at this particular moment, it's still a 1 possession game, 3-point game, 13 seconds on the clock. And now you got to come as a crew chief, whether you're the crew chief or not. We want to come together and start talking about certain things, right? Timeouts that each team has, fouls to give, potential foul. It's a 3-point game. Do they want to foul and put them on the free throw line? So there's a lot of variables that you want to talk about as a crew. So make sure that you're coming together, having a conversation, and you're prepared for anything that might occur in this 13-second mark, right? They can go for a 3, maybe a quick 2. And now after that, we're probably not going to have a chance to have a conversation. So if they go for a quick 2-point basket, El Dorado does, and maybe Capital allows that, we have to be prepared for a quick foul from El Dorado. So we may not have another opportunity to have a discussion, okay? Now the other topic that could come up as well is if El Dorado scores under the 5-second mark, they don't even have to bring the ball in. So a lot of different things that you want to make sure you talk about as a crew to prepare yourselves, because like I said, you might not have a chance to talk again until after the game.
Right. And here, and Wilson puts it in his comments too, I mean, we need to come together. I think this is a situation where all three, we see that Dodge and Arasumi come together and they're probably discussing different things, but they've left out Tom, who probably needs to know what's going on as well.
So go ahead and run it through, Nate. After this, it's just a 0.4 foul that occurs in the game. Nothing really occurs. But, again, we're just prepared for anything that's going to happen. To me, and just commentary is, this is a tough play when you have, or a tough position to be in when you're a lead official, especially if you're in a tie game. This is not the case, but all positions are important. Lead is a very nerve-wracking position to be in at this point.
Hey, Wilson, and your mic's on, Wilson, so you can speak anytime.
Okay, yeah. Back to the coming together with 13 seconds, as Curtis says, we may not get another opportunity. We need to discuss what is relevant at that particular time. Don't bring anything else into, like, hey, we missed that last play. That's not relevant for that 13 seconds with a 55-58 score. Right. And Curtis already went through the scenarios. But again, I just want to reiterate what's relevant with 13 seconds left in the game, 55-58. And you need to know who has 55 and who has 58. And before you break that huddle, what has gotten all of us in trouble from refereeing AAU to whatever we referee is that damn clock. Before we break the huddle, we need to say, make sure that clock starts on time.
That's right.
I'll leave that out. Thank you.
And that's important, that what Wilson states as far as the clock. Once that ball is successful, first reaction that's going to occur by that home coach or that El Dorado coach is a timeout, right? Same thing with an out-of-bounds play like this. Once you know it's going out of bounds, your first reaction, your eye should be going straight to the clock. And if you even need to put a 0.1 or 0.2 back on the clock, come and do it. Get it correct, because that can play a huge role as far as a successful goal at the end of your game.
And Gomez wants
And here it is again. Here's another opportunity for us to have a conversation, right?
to step aside.
Another opportunity. Let's talk about it. Now, we only have 5 seconds. There's probably not a lot of time for them to develop a play and have maybe a quick 2, because that ball is going to go through the basket and Capital is going to be able to run out the clock. So it's going to be a 3-point basket. I need to be engaged with a trail official to officiate any point of contact plays that are going to occur. Go ahead, Nate.
So
Steve, you made a great point. You foul here. There's no time on the inbound.
They talk about clock responsibility. That's a center call, right? And we talked about our we know our protocol at the high school level as far as successful goal.
And the tie. No, it's tipped. Jefferson can't get a shot off.
Unsuccessful, ball goes out of bounds.
And they're going to
Right. 0.4 seconds on the clock. And this is just to end, and this is just my opinion, and maybe Wilson can give his as well. Nate, you can give yours. With emotions running high in this game,
This was.
and I'm not saying this is not a foul, and that clock runs out, kill that play. Kill the game, get out of there, because what you have is you have an emotional team of El Dorado players, coaches. The last thing you want to do is keep them around longer than you have to, and now you start having players bump each other, jawing at each other. Now you start getting into a mess. So just something in my input is 0.4 seconds. I understand maybe potentially Lika saying, hey, I want to get it right and be pure on this play. But with 0.4 seconds, in my opinion, you're telling your evaluator, you're telling the NMAA, Dana's and Nate's to say, I'm using my best judgment with everything, the emotion that went on in the game. I'm killing the game. I'm done with it. Let's get up to the locker room. Wilson, you have anything different on that?
Absolutely. Again, just to separate the two games. In my game, there's gambling and there's Vegas. And we put a whistle on that. We're shooting free throws because we don't know what the line is, and we don't want to be part of that conversation. What we're doing right now in this educational-based situation right here, Curtis is 100% correct. We're not going to a monitor. That's not one of the plays that you're allowed to go to the monitor anyway, right, in this situation, Curtis and Nate, in high school state tournament. So absolutely, game over. Let's clear it and let's get out of there. Absolutely, Curtis. That's just a good point.
And as I'm watching this live, Lika, and I didn't really have the opportunity to go talk to you after the game, I was thinking, no, don't do it. Don't do it. Just kill it. Just kill it. You know, and really at 0.4, the ball is touched in bounds, right? As there's contact. So you have to run time off. At that point, you're going to go down and shoot other free throws. What can you possibly do, or what can El Dorado possibly do, you know, to even tie this game is almost impossible. They already know that they've probably lost. Wilson and Curtis are spot on. Let's get out of that situation as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I mean, in that moment, all I can hear in my head is Tony Stigliano call the game from start to finish. And so that's why I came out strong with my foul. But then, you know, talking about that in our post game, you know, for the betterment of the game, like what is good for the game. It was a great learning experience for me.
Cool.
Awesome.
So again, are there any questions before we let Curtis go? Wilson's on here too. If you guys have any questions for him, any questions for me? Again, we'll be back next Wednesday with Kyle Bacon. And Wilson Holland's coming on week 4. So I just voluntold him. So, you know, I just wanted to make sure I got the first 3 out, but we're ready to go week 4. Any questions?
Hey, Nate.
Yeah.
Hey, first of all, I think first of all, kudos to Alika for sitting there and listening to us pick apart his game, because it's not easy to do that, you know. And this was a tough game to call. I mean, these are 2 good teams. They're 2 physical teams. I didn't have Capital this year. I saw El Dorado a bunch, and they can be a handful. So I mean, Alika, you guys did a nice job, and you know, kudos to you for for sitting there and providing feedback and listening to what people had to say.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
So, any other questions, comments? Yeah. Blaze?
Nope. I'm just
Oh,
saying.
okay. I thought you were kind of.
I was just stretching.
Oh, all right. Get the whole hand stretch. All right. Well, again, thank you for everything. Again, this was recorded, so all 2 hours of it will be. I'll find a place to post it so you guys can go back. Again, as the season starts, I'll take this and dissect this video and create some training clips throughout the season. What we're really trying to push is consistency. As time goes on, we're starting to see that we're no longer the southeast region or the northeast, that we're actually the NMOA, and that's really the number one goal. And so hopefully that these video sessions, these breakdown sessions continue to kind of put us all on the same page. So Curtis, any final thoughts before we shut this thing down?
No, I mean, you know what? Great turnout from having short notice. I think everybody's itching to get back on the floor and then get some basketball going again. So good job to everyone for joining, and looking forward to next week in the following week. So thank you for having me, Nate.
All right. You guys have a good one.
Thanks, guys.